From the Victory Studios in downtown Little Rock, this is Capitol View with your host, Jesse Tenor.
Good Sunday morning to you and welcome into Capitol View. I'm Jesse Tenor. A controversial state law restricting abortion access now on track to go into effect after being on hold for the last 3 years. We'll have a reaction following a decision from the U.S. Supreme Court. And later in the show, Arkansas's largest military base awaiting word on whether it may be asked to house children seized at the southern border. I'll talk to an immigration rights advocate about what's changed under the Trump administration. But we begin today with the biggest local race in Arkansas this year. Joining me in studio is the latest candidate to jump into the race for Little Rock mayor, and that's Kurrus, the former LRSD superintendent. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Jesse. Thank you.
Of course. Thanks for being with us. Wanted to touch base with you. So when you announced that you were going to jump into this race, you said about the end of last week or maybe a little later, you had kind of announced this big campaign push and what you were going to be focusing on. And so what are you going to do going into these next 5 months?
Well, it's a 5-month campaign. There'll be an awful lot of time to talk in great detail, but I'm going to talk about the basics. That's where good cities start. Great cities start there too, but you have to get the basics covered, and we do a pretty good job of that in Little Rock, I think. But I'm going to talk to citizens, and I've already been doing so, about things that I can do to help them be sure this is a livable city and a great place to start. Then from there, I think we need to move up from where we are. I think we've got a great city. I love it here. I've lived here since 1980, and I'm crazy about Little Rock, and I'm ready to sell Little Rock. I think we need to work hard in business development, economic development. That's critical. I think we've got a lot of work to do to build cooperation and trust all across this city. That's something I really want to work on, and I'll have details of that, and I can talk details now if you want to, but that's
throw them out.
Well, I think for one thing, we've got to broaden our base in this town. We've got to learn to get along a little bit differently. And it's not to say that we've made mistakes in the past. We certainly have in this city. There's no doubt about it, and we've paid a price, but we've got to learn those lessons. When you start where Little Rock started, and with some of the national events that occurred here, especially 1957, we paid a price for that. But if you're going to have something like that happen, something that's very, very difficult and very wrong, you have to learn because you pay a price. And so what's the lesson from that? Well, the lesson is we've got to come together. We've got to learn to talk to one another and find the common ground. And it sounds so simple. It's not, but I've done it before, and I want to do it again for the city. I'm on fire for this job.
And I'm sure we'll get into a little bit more details coming, but of course education is going to be at the forefront of this. Most of the people who do recognize you saw you last a couple years ago when you were fired from the Little Rock School District, and we found something from when that happened, and I think this was from what you had to say on your next to last day on the job. Take a listen.
I think we have to ask ourselves, are we in a data-driven environment, or are we in a political environment? I think you have to ask yourself that very candidly. I want the truth-telling to start, and I want it to be honest and forthright, but people of goodwill.
So the mayor can definitely play a big role in the Little Rock School District. Was that what ultimately made you jump into the race? Were you looking at it and said, you know, I can't be superintendent again, but I can still make an impact here?
Well, no, I'm not. We've got a good superintendent. Mike Poor's doing a good job, and it's a hard job. I sat in that chair. So if anybody knows how hard that job is, Mike Poor does, and so do I, and he's doing a good job. He's working hard, and they're making progress, okay? But what I can do, I mean, I'll be the best friend Little Rock School District ever had, and also UALR and UAMS. You know, 8 out of the 10 industries are the largest employers in Pulaski in our city that pull people from Little Rock are either educational institutions, governmental institutions, or hospitals and healthcare institutions. And so we can't overestimate the importance of those institutions. And Little Rock School District has to be good. It has to be good, and it is in many ways, but it can be better. Mike Poor's doing a great job, though, and I want to help him. I've helped him anytime he's called, and I'll continue to do that.
And being a best friend to the school district, does that also mean that if you are mayor come 2019, if we haven't seen the return to local control yet, would you jump in and kind of help influence that?
Well, I sat on the school board for 12 years.
Right.
I know what it's like to sit on a school board, and it's valuable service, and that's what the law requires. And we'll get our school district back, and the sooner the better. But the question is, what do we do when we get it? Can we overcome the divisions that we've had in the past? Can then we begin to come together and work together. That's evident. The mayor sits in the middle. I don't know if you watch those meetings, but there are 11 people up there, and the mayor's right in the middle. We've got to figure out, not only at the school district, but in the boardroom at City Hall, how do we come to a point where we understand and appreciate one another, we have a unity of purpose, and then we begin to build that trust and pull in the same direction. Can you imagine what this town would be like if everybody pulled in the same direction?
Based on the reaction from Little Rock School District parents, other people involved just in the education world, when it was announced that you would not be continuing, I think it was kind of apparent that a lot of people would like to see you sitting in that middle chair possibly. What else would you do with the Little Rock School District? I know, of course, local control is the big talker, but where do you see you fitting into other places as mayor, too, with the school district?
With the school district, I think you have to teach this community something that we all know intuitively, but we don't talk about. Every child in this community belongs to us, not to somebody else. It's not a them thing, it's a we thing. And so the future of every kid depends not just on the Little Rock School District, which has those kids 7 hours a day, 9 months a year. It depends on every single one of us as a city embracing children, all children, kids of great need, kids of great potential. All of them are wonderful. We have so many kids, and I just love them. I decided to run after I saw I was at a fundraiser for an Our Kids Read thing, and I saw those kids. I'm excited.
Going forward, too, what do you think kids need in Little Rock still? I know that obviously going into this campaign, crime is going to be a main driver here in the capital city.
Sure.
What are some of your plans for that, especially with the youth who sadly do kind of fall off the wayside, and some of them even are the ones who are the criminals here?
Well, everything's connected. Everything is connected, and when you see a failed life, and it's failed for just a moment, I don't give up on anybody. I'm in prisons once a month. I play in a band, and I love music, and I love to go to prisons where they appreciate the poor quality of the music that our band provides. But that's, we say we're going to attack crime. Well, you can attack it at the end of the cycle, and it has to be done. I mean, we spend over $75 million on police, and we contribute over $1.5 million to the detention facility here. But the way you stop crime is to give people hope, give people opportunity, and if you can do that early. And kids want to learn. Kids are intuitively curious. They want to be loved. And when things go wrong with drug addiction, misbehavior at an early age, we've got to be there. I mean, if you don't stop it then, it gets worse, and it gets worse, and people lose hope, and then they become fearful, and then they do things that are horrible. And we've got to stop it. We've got to enforce the laws, I know that, and that's one thing we will do, and we do already, but I want to make the police department work better. I've got some ideas about that.
Any that you care to share?
Well, it's the kind of work that goes on best behind the scenes. When you're trying to make people understand the unity of purpose, that kind of teamwork thing, I can tell you something I'll do that I did at the school district. I went to job fairs. If we're short of police officers, we need about another 20 or 25 right now. I'll go to the job fairs, and I'll recruit. I won't get in the way, I'm not going to intrude, but by the same token, I can sell our city. I believe in this town, and I think I can convince young people or people who are changing careers that this is a great place to work, and they can make a difference here. And I did that in the school district and met so many wonderful people, and I will do that. I will do that, and I don't know that it may be done now, but I'll certainly do it. I'll help them, and I'll ask them how I can help them. I won't run in there with all the ideas. I'll go in there with an open mind and an open agenda and say, how can I help you? What can I do to make your job easier to perform and the outcomes better?
I think a lot of people would agree, too, that the same kind of passion for recruitment needs to be done for business opportunities in Little Rock. I know that 2 candidates have already kind of made it clear that they're going to, run for mayor, and then you're jumping in a little later here. So do you kind of feel like you're falling behind here when it comes to some of the business outreach, or do you feel like you can catch up? You already have some ideas to do that.
Well, I'm jumping in. This is going to air on Sunday, but today is the end of the month, or the first day of June. That's the day that I'm respecting a city ordinance that requires that. And so that's why I'm in on June 1. We got 5 months. There's plenty of time to talk. I think people will be well educated on election day. I hope so. But I can sell Little Rock. I've been in business. You know, I've got a skill set that started in a legal career, ended up in a business career. I've done a lot of consulting work on organizational management. I understand how big organizations work. I can read a balance sheet. I can talk to business people, young entrepreneurs. I've spent time already at the tech center because I want to understand how that works. I've already been down there, and I'll help them every way I can. And I can help with recruitment, I think. I can sell this town because I'm here by choice. I love it here.
That's true. Well, Baker, thank you so much for giving us a little taste of your campaign. I know we'll be hearing a lot from you in these next 5 months, but we appreciate you coming on.
It's been a privilege and a pleasure. Thank you, Jesse.
Coming up after a quick break, Central Arkansas being examined as a potential spot for the government to house immigrant children. Hear reaction from the candidates from Congress, plus what immigrant rights activists are saying about it. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Do you suspect abuse or neglect of your loved one in a nursing home? Here are some things you should look for. Bed sores, bruises, dehydration, significant weight loss. Any one of these could be evidence that something is wrong. If your loved one has been the victim of abuse or neglect, call the lawyers at Rainwater, Holt & Sexton, 1-800-434-4800. They'll help you weather the storm.
Got a wet crawl space or leaky basement? Mold and mildew can build up and cause serious health problems. Crawl Space Solutions of Arkansas can protect your home and save you energy. Get a free estimate from an expert you can trust. Check us out online at arkansascrawlspacetv.com.
Okay, so the new 2018 Ford F-150 has bliss with trailer coverage. Not only does it watch your F-150's blind spots, it's got your trailer covered too. One less thing to spoil the weekend. No, it can't make the fish bite, but maybe they'll work on that. This is the new 2018 Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, pal. It is the bar.
Now get $10,783 in total savings plus $750 bonus cash on F-150. Only at your local Ford dealer.
Danny Hips at Bill Wright Autoplex in Russellville, and it's going on now, the early summer sales event, but it won't last long, so come check out savings like up to $7,000 off the 2018 GMC Terrain. We're passing along savings up to $11,000 off the 2018 Acadia, and we've even got huge savings on 2018 GMC Sierras of up to $13,000 off. So come see us during the early summer sales event at Bill Wright Autoplex, exit 84, just off 540, Russellville.
If you're moving and need supplies, Riverside Box will make your move easier and more affordable. Check out our website at riversidebox.com. Family owned and operated for 50 years. Come by and see us today.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View. Little Rock Air Force Base is reportedly awaiting word from the Trump administration on whether they'll be asked to house unaccompanied minors and children seized at the southern border. That potential move comes as the administration's policy on separating kids from parents is coming under increasing scrutiny. Joining me from Fayetteville to discuss Arkansas's role in the immigration fight is Mariah Reith, the executive director of Arkansas United Community Coalition. Mariah, thanks for joining us back on the show.
No, thank you for the invitation.
So before we get into the Little Rock Air Force Base, I wanted to talk about how on Friday there was this National Day of Action in response to the growing number of immigrant children separated from their families. And I know that you guys are calling, you know, to defund ICE and Border Patrol and obviously to stop splitting up families. But what specifically are you asking of Washington in that fight? How do you plan to get that done?
No, well, first and foremost, we want to make sure our congressmen and our senators here in Arkansas are aware. They've been silent on the issue, at least in speaking with our immigrant community and into responding to our concerns. And right now in recess, we've not been able to find them. And so we want to make sure that they're engaged in this conversation, understand that we as Arkansas immigrants, despite not actually living on the border, feel personally affected by this issue. And in addition to really looking at with scrutiny the budget of these agencies, in addition, we do call on Congress once again to take the opportunity, especially in the House of Representatives, who is is scheduled to have some votes on immigration at the end of this month and really look at a humane approach to these policies. The zero tolerance policy started by our executive was one that in no way was vetted or taken through Congress. Congress has an opportunity here to correct basically bad policies that are separating families, and we really want to urge our congressmen and senators here in Arkansas to be on the right side of the issue.
What do you expect from Congress, though? I know in the past you've been critical and they haven't done what you've been wanting, so are you hopeful moving forward right now?
Well, right now there's a discharge position related to what's called Queen of the Kill that would give an opportunity for a vote. There's still conversations and opportunities here to talk about a Clean Dream Act, which is not a complete piece of legislation in and of itself in regards to families, but at least gets us in the right direction of giving some peace of mind to families together. Our bigger concern is the anti-immigrant legislation that we know is being discussed out there, specifically the Goodlatte bill, and we've had conversations with our congressmen on this end, and we're gravely concerned because these bills would put more money into the enforcement mechanism. And right now, where no additional funds are really being expended, policies like those of the Trump administration, we've seen in just 2 weeks over 600 parents being separated from their children without any recourse of finding out where their children are. And these are asylum seekers, individuals that the Trump administration promised would be treated with humanity. So obviously lots of reasons for concern, and once again, just an extreme urgency on Congress to take positive action.
Let's talk about the Little Rock Air Force Base a little bit. So it is in the running, like we mentioned, to become a potential site to host refugee children from Central America. We were able to speak with the congressman whose district this falls in, and also the Democrat hoping to unseat him in November. Here's what they had to say.
First of all Americans agree we need to prioritize national security and keep Americans safe. I think that's something both sides of the aisle can agree on. Since the Trump administration implemented this new policy a month ago, we've seen a 21% increase in the number of families that are separated, and I certainly don't think that is warranted. You know, I have kids that are 8 and 5, and if someone tried to take my children from me, I don't know what I would do. And when America has that as a national policy, whether they're American citizens or not, I feel like that's just morally the wrong path to take, and it hurts our standing as a moral leader in the world.
My view has been that if unaccompanied children come across the border, to find out if they're being trafficked, being a source of trafficking by an adult that's not their parent, or if one of the parents has been has a criminal background in the United States, I think that's appropriate for those kids to be separated. But where possible, I think families should be kept together.
So they do agree on that part, that, you know, families at least almost at all costs should be able to stick together. As far as housing the kids, though, once they're separated, what do you see as a reasonable solution, as reasonable housing?
No, obviously the current crisis of our broken immigration system is one that, exactly as you heard in the other testimonies, is one that we all agree on. But I hope we can agree that military bases aren't the appropriate place to house these children or these families during this crisis moment. We actually have direct history with this here in Arkansas with Fort Chaffee, which housed so many of our Vietnamese during the Vietnam War. Even recently up here in Northwest Arkansas, we were so proud to see Theater Square host a Vietnamese playwright who helped tell that story. And those are families that are still living with the trauma today. We are essentially talking about a similar situation of refugees and asylum seekers. And our country is founded on immigrants and individuals seeking these crises. We have, and we may in the future at some point need to rely on other countries as well in that process, and there's strong international laws and practices in place, and none of which set precedents around military bases. We need to be thinking about facilities where that and are actually prepared to deal with individuals with trauma, offer a range of services while we're going through those legal processes, and that are best prepared to take care of children. We deeply respect our military, but this is not a good use of those bases.
Mariah, this obviously continues to be a very emotional issue. While the policy of separating families is new under the Trump administration, many of these issues we've seen with immigration have been going on for years, and it's something President Obama was roundly criticized for by immigration activists. So do you kind of draw a comparison between the two, and what's your message to people who may just be now coming around to seeing these issues?
This broken immigration system obviously wasn't created by any one precedent. Some have treated these issues with more humanity than others, and exactly as you said, where the Obama administration wasn't perfect, at least they started to create some pathways where we could start to humanely look at trying to give some immediate solutions, solutions that work for communities as well as families. And we regret that since the Trump administration has come on board, it has been a constant onslaught of one executive order after another that has just emphasized enforcement, that it's emphasized separation, that has been irresponsible in regards to our economy and the role that our immigrants play on our economy, that's been irresponsible in regards to our communities and what it means for everybody when families get separated. We know America and Arkansas are better than this. We truly hope that our leadership in Washington, D.C. and our governor backs away from any possibility of Little Rock being part of this broken immigration system by hosting children in this crisis moment, and that even in saying no to that could actually try and instead catapult and put pressure on this administration to pick up again these conversations. There's a space to do so here in June. There's plenty of bills out there that would be and represent positive steps forward. Let's pick those up. Let's do the hard work we sent them to do in Washington, D.C., and that's what we expect as immigrants. That's what we expect as Arkansans.
All right, well, Mariah, we'll definitely keep an eye on all of this moving later on into the month, but we appreciate you coming on the show to give us your input.
Thank you.
And when we come back, the U.S. Supreme Court decides not to intervene in the fight over a restrictive anti-abortion law. We'll break down the reaction to that decision and what it means for the state going forward. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
If you're behind on your mortgage payments, being threatened with foreclosure, have been denied a loan modification, or been the victim of a predatory loan, it's critical that you call Homeowners Relief Line now. New laws are in effect that may save your home.
You don't reach a milestone of 50 years in business without having a passion for what you do, taking care of the customer and valuing your product. And at Allen Tillery Chevrolet Buick GMC, that's exactly how we achieve that goal. Hi, I'm Allen Tillery. For over 50 years, the car business has been in my blood, and it runs through the whole family. We want to take care of you, be it service, state-of-the-art body shop, or your next vehicle. So come join the Allen Tillery family. That's Allen Tillery Auto in Hot Springs.
I'm really in the problem-solving business. Where there's a wrong, there will be a remedy. You just have to find the remedy. It's in the law, but sometimes it's really hard to find. I have to find a way that's right and just, that the law would support to help this person put their life back together. In order to do it and do it right, you have to be passionate about the person, passionate about their case, and you have to care about them.
Hold on, Jill texted me.
You have a message from Jill. Can't wait for tonight. Hands clapping, unicorn, taco, cat face with heart eyes, dancing women wearing bunny ears.
Well, Jill's excited about dinner tonight. Woman nodding head yes.
The Buick Encore with standard smartphone connectivity.
Our emoji game is strong.
Get 5,000 purchase allowance on select 2018 Buick Encore vehicles in stock.
Is it time for new construction, replacement, or design? Windows, doors, and more can add value, safety, and beauty to your home. Family owned and operated, our expert team has more than 150 years of experience. We have the knowledge, the skills, and the service to get the job done right. We are a certified Anderson servicing dealer. From design to completion, choose from a variety of vinyl and wood options. We have you covered.
Call us today and let Windows, Doors, and More show you what a difference we can make.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Not the church, not the state. Women must decide our state, not the church.
Welcome back to Capitol View. The U.S. Supreme Court decided this week not to hear arguments against an Arkansas law that imposes strict regulations on abortion providers. The law passed in 2015 severely restricts access to medication-induced abortion, requiring any doctor who provides the abortion pill to have a contract with another physician who has hospital-admitting privileges. That effectively outlawed the pill. The law's sponsors say they're pleased with the court's decision, while opponents renew their objections to the law.
I'm not for abortion at all, and so I stand by Arkansas 100%.
I really believe that they should have that medicine. Like, I believe it's the woman's choice.
Divisive opinions are commonplace when it comes to abortion laws. Now, a decision at the nation's highest court kickstarts a race for action 3 years in the making.
Immediately, this is going to have an effect.
This is a good law that was championed by women.
The Abortion-Inducing Drug Safety Act was passed in 2015, but has yet to be enforced because of pending litigation on its constitutionality.
It was passed overwhelmingly by both the House and the Senate, and I think that spoke to the bill and what it really was all about, and that's about the safety of women.
State Representative David Meeks co-sponsored the bill. He says the law requires any doctor who gives this abortion-inducing medication to have a contract with another doctor who has the authority to admit the woman to a hospital in the case of an emergency.
The drug that they're wanting to use for the abortion pill does have complications or can have complications.
There's no medical need for it.
The local attorney representing Planned Parenthood says the decision will leave the entire state of Arkansas with just one health center that provides legal abortion. They believe the law is just an attempt to block women from exercising their constitutional right to terminate a pregnancy.
And there are already women who have scheduled those abortions, and they're going to be very disappointed. It's going to wreak a hardship on them.
Since the U.S. Supreme Court did not act, a lower court judge will be tasked with making the decision on whether to allow this law to stand. It's unclear when that could happen. Top state officials from the governor to the attorney general all say they're pleased with the Supreme Court's decision. Attorney General Leslie Rutledge saying, quote, "Protecting the health and well-being of women and the unborn will always be a priority. We are a pro-life state and always will be as long as I am attorney general." And we're back to wrap it up after this. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
What happens?
You are brilliant.
When the summer's hottest shows
That was amazing.
come together on the same night.
America is going to absolutely fall in love with you.
Tuesdays, America's Got Talent is blowing everyone away. And the world's best dancers are raising the bar on World of Dance.
You guys smashed it.
America's Got Talent and World of Dance, all new Tuesday on NBC.
After a car wreck, why should you call Rainwater Holt & Sexton? No cost. Let me be clear. The call is free, the advice is free, and with our no-fee guarantee, you don't owe us a nickel until we recover money for you. It's just the right thing to do. So don't worry, don't wait, just give us a call. We're Rainwater Holt & Sexton. Let us help you weather the storm. Call 888-8888.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And that's it for today's show. We want to know your thoughts on all of the issues we discussed during Capitol View, among the many others affecting our state. So just make sure you keep using that hashtag MyCapitolView on Twitter and Facebook, both during and after the show, so we can continue the conversation together. We're back with an all-new Capitol View next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.